Hello and welcome to this Bbeducation cutting tutorial. In today's tutorial, we're going to show you how to create a salon-friendly line and graduation. This haircut is intended to show you how to reduce weight at the back, creating a soft beveled effect whilst keeping length and weight at the front of your client's hair. We begin with our sectioning. In this instance, we're working off a side parting, coming back to the centre of the crown. Working to the centre of the crown is always great for giving us an exact centre point to create our horseshoe section. In this instance, you can see we're separating it as it is in the side parting. So we're keeping our horseshoe split in two sections. Now we take a vertical section, bringing our sections separated into two forward diagonals. We complete this on each side. We now work on taking a vertical section. We take care to get both sides of the hair out of the way before we start to assess our vertical shape. So why do we start with a vertical section? We start with the vertical instead of starting with the length, because whatever length we decide to leave the top of the section determines where the weight will fall. It determines how high or how low the weight will sit within the haircut. So we make a little assessment of the position of our comb and how the hair will fall. So we let the hair fall here. You can get an idea of where the weight line will sit. The lower we go, the longer and heavier the weight line. But it's not just that, it's also the angle of our comb. If our comb is angled too low, you'll see we have next to no graduation. If it's angled far too high, we have no weight. So the lower we go, the more weight, the higher we go, the less weight. So you make that assessment. Now we're going to come through to beginning our cut. The section is pulled out 90 degrees from the head or straight out from the head. We are cutting it to be shorter on the nape. So we want the distance from the top of the section to be higher than the distance at the bottom. So we are working vertically triangular, shorter at the nape, longer at the top. Just make a little assessment of our section. So you can see here, the shorter piece determines where the weight will sit. We're now going to continue, but we're going to take two horizontal sections, one on each side. The purpose of this, we have our guideline vertical now, but we have no horizontal guideline. So we are about to create a horizontal guideline. So how do we do this? Well, we keep the length that is in front as our guide, and we simply lift the hair to the same elevation, which you can see here, and we will cut the hair. So we pull it to exactly the same elevation we just have been, and we will take the section shorter. So you see here we have our guideline from the middle. We're cutting a flat line to the back of the head, and we do this on both sides. So why do we do this? We do this to form a secondary guideline. As we take our next section on a pivoting section, we now have a guideline from the vertical and one from the horizontal. So as your section is pulled out straight out with no other direction, we are able to utilize both these guidelines to ensure our elevation is correct and our body position is correct. Again, no other direction here. The hair is pulled straight back to the wall behind it. It's not over directed side to side, up and down, it's pulled straight out. So we're now ready to take our second section. Pulling the section straight out to the wall behind, following the section down, you'll notice we have two guidelines, a horizontal and a vertical. Our second section is taken, still following a pivoting motion. Our section is pulled and we find our guide from the previous section. Still cutting using both guides, one horizontal and one vertical. Our section pivots always from the centre. Here we're removing the previous and pulling the section down onto what we've just cut. This will help us not go too low with our elevation. So our final few sections work parallel to our 4 diagonal section we put in our mapping process. All the sections are cut in the same way. Note that all sections are pulled back to form a flat line. Keep your body position square central at the back. This will help you keep pulling the sections back to create a flat line. Once we've completed this, we can cross-check. This is pulling the section to the same elevation we have been. So pull the hair straight back and we can check the vertical shape. Once we're satisfied, we can now continue with the next side. Removing the hair from that we've just cut, re-establishing our vertical shape, our first vertical section. We take our first pivot off this section. And remember, we're not over directing this. This will come straight back to the wall, utilizing the previous section as a guideline. Note, we're still using the guideline from the horizontal to help connect in our shape. Be sure to keep pivoting, always working from the center. Also, be certain to keep establishing a flat line. Try not to move your body position. Try to stay at the back and keep pulling the sections back to the wall behind you. So we're creating a flat line. Once completed, be sure to cross-check in the same fashion with the other side. We are now ready to continue. We take parallel 4 diagonal sections on both sides, ensuring we have balance. Keep all your sections the same level of moisture. We now take a small section, removing the previous, grooming the hair up to lock it to the new section, and then we comb the new section down to the previous and we cut not past our second knuckle but just to the second knuckle to ensure consistency in our tension. We do the same on the sides, removing some of the previous hair, grooming the hair to find our guide and cutting. We repeat this on both sides. Be sure to still bring each section back to the same flat line we have been working on. Once complete, we take our next sections. These sections will run parallel to our previous. We work in the same way we have been, taking a previous section, grooming it to meet our new section, and then finally combing down to get our elevation in sync. We have to be very careful of the over direction here, We don't want to be over directing left or right. It's just coming straight back. Remember, we're not over directing into the middle, but we're just pulling it straight back to form a flat line. So our line should be square if cross-checked. To ensure we have the correct elevation, we can also cross-check, taking our section vertical and ensuring it is connecting in to the underneath. As we take our third section, you'll notice our section expands from the centre of the back straight into the sides. This has given us a great opportunity to cut our guideline in for the sides. We continue in the same way. We will start in the centre of the hair, lifting the previous, taking the new section and lowering the new section to meet the previous section. As we continue and get ready to cut our sides, we have to be sure that we are over directing the front to meet our flat line at the back. This is really going to help us to elongate and have length at the front. Each section is worked in the same fashion, brought back to a flat line, working parallel to the back of the head. If your client didn't want it to be too long at the front, we could of course work with a different type of over direction. We now start on the opposite side. So you can see we have an elongated length at the side. Taking subsequent sections, we complete the other side in the same fashion we did the previous. It is important to mention that we have not yet started to cut our line in. At the moment, we are purely focusing on the graduation, on the technique. All the hair at the sides, all the hair at the back, we are still going to have to work a perimeter line in. We choose to do this at the end after we've built our internal shape. You can see we are now approaching the final section before we reach our horseshoe. So what do we do now? How do we cut the top? Loosen the top section and take a very small amount of hair working parallel to the horseshoe. So in essence, the horseshoe is getting slightly smaller with each section. Now we cut it much the same way we have been. You lift the previous section, then you comb the new section to meet this section. This gives us our guideline and gives us a consistency in the elevation. The sides are still pulled back to a flat line at the back. This is to help us have a very inverted length towards the front of our shape. We complete this much the same on the opposite side. All our subsequent sections are taken in the same fashion, working up to our desired parting. As we work up to our final section, I want to explain a bit about our guide. It's very important that we don't cut past this guide at the front. This is the length, so we're in essence connecting them together. Failure to do this could result in a slight hole at the front. Now we can work on our blow dry. We're starting with a wrap drying technique, and now we're going to work with a slight tension drying technique to really pull the hair smooth towards the mid lengths, helping us to bevel the underneath under. Once the hair is dry, we can really make some good assessments on how we're going to refine it. I've already said we haven't placed our line. We're going to be working higher at the back and lower at the front. So we're going to start at the front. We're going to make a little assessment. You can see our internal shape is all fluid and neat. There's no cut lines or weight lines. So let's get straight into that front. We use that as a chipping technique, which allows the hair to move. You can see the hair is going to move as I'm cutting. And this really limits any dramatic impact or lines you may form. So the chipping technique isn't really just for short hair. You can see here we are utilising it on length. The objective is to refine in an internal shape that is still quite strong, still going to give us a very soft fluid shape, working consistently from the back of the shape to the front, working higher at the back and longer at the front. We repeatedly chip underneath the line and above the line and from a distance. As we move over to the other side, we repeat the same process again. So let's just review what this is, what I'm doing right now. I'm using the very tip of my scissor, creating all these little triangles. Once I've done one row, I go over it again, making the triangles more finer. This really helps to collapse the line and also helps me to create a curve. Here you'll notice I'm starting from the front. The objective here is to meet the two lines. So then I start from the back and meet. It's a very effective way to get balance and ensure you don't go too high as you're working from the front into the back. And just when you think you're finished, you'll find some more. So keep checking, be consistent, and keep looking at your work. We hope you've enjoyed this Bbeducation cutting tutorial, and we hope to see you again soon.